It's Friday.
And you know what that means!
Welcome back to the Wiki Little YouTube channel. I am High Def Owen for this episode. I found my old High Def camera I've been using, but trade-off is I broke my microphone before I started recording. I dropped it cord side down, so I'm going to be coming to you through these really crappy quality headphone mics, at least for now. And these headphones are even broken as well because I played Phasmophobia the other night and I snapped them in half on accident. So just all around, the best technical setup here for the weekly huddle. But you know what? It's Friday, and it's probably my favorite day of the week because I get to listen to the Draft Dudes react to my takes on their Takes on Take episode of their podcast. So I'm really excited about it. I didn't get as good of a reaction as I did last time, but I do think I have some good points to get to. So I just want to get right into that. Stop! Before we get into the takes, you need to check out this channel I just created. It's going to be a basketball-related channel. Me and my buddies like to talk about basketball a lot. And I didn't want to just toss those conversations onto this channel because it's mostly football-related. So I thought, you know what? Let's make a second one. There's nothing on it yet. I'm recording our first episode of the podcast I'm going to be putting on there later today. And I have some other fun kind of goofy and or entertaining video concepts to put up there. So I am a relatively new basketball fan, and my friends have been watching basketball their entire lives, so it's going to be kind of that fun dynamic. So yes, check out this channel. It might be a little hard to find just searching it, so I'm going to put the link in the description to it. It's going to be the first one you see. And yeah, just check it out. We're going to have a new episode of the podcast out probably on Monday, and then I'm going to be looking to create a bunch of new content over Thanksgiving break. So see you then, and back to the main content.
Calvin Johnson was the single greatest athlete in the game, and if he played out a full career, he would be talked about in the GOAT conversation.
Possibly.
Yeah, I mean, I think about some of those like Lawrence Taylors, you know, like Deion Sanders, Bruce Smith, Larry Allen. You know what I mean? Like, there's a bucket full of these weird, like just aliens, right? And he's in the bucket. But I don't know how you stack them up like that.
All right, first take. Yes, so I am personally a huge Calvin Johnson fan. I have been since I was a new fan, or even prior to that when I was still like 7 years old doing mock fantasy football with my dad and my brother. Before, like, you know, I ever did it for actual money or actually played it on an app or something. I was always a big fan of Calvin Johnson. And maybe I should add this to the takes for next week, but I'm personally a believer, and I might have to add this for the takes. So this is going to be kind of a preview explanation. I'm personally a believer that an elite tight end, you know, receiving option tight end, your Gronks, your Tony Gonzalez's, your Kittles, your Kelce's, these guys who are elite receiving options from the tight end. I would rather have one of those guys than an elite high-end wide receiver. Now, there are a few exceptions to that, which were Calvin Johnson and not even add Tyreek Hill in nowadays into that. But I'll save my explanation for the tight end thing for next week because I'm probably going to put that as a take. So there's a preview of that. But so for a guy like Tyreek Hill and Calvin Johnson, they're such physical freaks that they counteract that my reasoning. Like I said, wait till next week and I'll dive more into that. But like Calvin Johnson specifically, he was 6'5", he ran a 4.3. He was so dominant. They would like double and triple cover him on the Lions. And it didn't matter. He still was able to get open. He got the insane amount of receiving sets he has. I'm pretty sure, if I'm not mistaken, he has the record for most receiving yards in a single season. Let me fact check this real quick before I be looking like I don't know. Who should I bully on the show that actually messes up their stats a lot? I have no idea. They're usually pretty good with that. So let me fact check this before I look like an idiot. Yeah. So Calvin Johnson has a single season receiving yards record, and he was 30 when he retired, right? So the Lions, the whole thing is like, oh, they have their guys retire in their prime. Like, you see receivers going to like they're 37 now, 36. He was 30, and he was still putting up over 1,000 yards a season on a terrible Lions team where everyone knew the ball was going to Calvin. Calvin's getting the ball like 15 times a game. They physically couldn't stop. So I think just because he's an athletic freak like that, if he was to ride out another 6-7 years of his career from where it ended, and especially if the Lions were able to build around him more, I personally think, or if he went to a different team, I think he would have been considered the GOAT. Because we consider Jerry Rice in the GOAT conversation, right? Because he's like leagues and miles beyond anybody else when it comes to receiving production. Because he has played for so long and was so good for so long. I would argue that Calvin Johnson would have been in that Jerry Rice kind of format where he can put his name into the overall football GOAT conversation, just of how much of a physical freak he was and how much he was able to overcome as a player, that he was even triple team. Like, triple teaming is like inconceivable. Like, why would you do that? Why would you put, it's basically you're running a zero blitz without the blitz because you're putting 3 defenders on Calvin. And he still went off every game for the most part. It was insane. So I just think that he is like a unicorn among unicorns. No one will ever compare to him. And even though he doesn't have the production to back it up, I will personally put him in like my own GOAT argument. You know, with Brady and Jerry Rice and Manning and all these other greats who have the numbers to back it up. I think Megatron would have had the numbers if he would have been able to play longer or chose to play longer. But he was stuck in Detroit, so that didn't happen. So real quick, going to the second tape. But second tape, don't forget. Basketball channel, don't forget. Trying to really get that going. No content yet, but next take.
Nick Herbig is a player that is only not getting first-round hype due to concerns about his height, which he has shown to be able to overcome while at Wisconsin.
On the lexicon of Wisconsin hybrid edge players, like, the range is so big. There's from TJ Watt to Vince Beagle, right? Like, and everything in between.
He's listed at 6'2", 227.
He's more in the
small
Zach
player.
Bond world, right? Like,
Yeah. It's not to say he's not a good player, but he's an alarmingly small player to play on the edge in the NFL.
Yeah.
So as tradition here, I usually toss in a draft take because that's my main, focus on this channel and overall, and as a career perspective, I'm trying to get into draft, the draft scouting realm as a career. So I always usually toss in a draft take for one of these episodes. This one was about a guy I've been high on since last year's draft process when I was watching Jack Sanborn and Leo Chenal, which I really like Leo Chenal. I'm hoping he gets some more time with the Chiefs this year. But I really loved Nick Herbig when I was watching them. He always popped for me. He was one of those guys where you're watching somebody else, and then this random dude who's not draft eligible just pops off the screen for you. And yes, he's in the mold of the Wisconsin linebackers, hybrid edge rusher type guy, and he is a bit smaller, 6'2", 227. But I haven't done the rewrite for his 2022 stuff yet over on the Dynasty Index, which you'll find another link to the Patreon if you want to check that out, $1 a month. Check out all my write-ups for guys. I still have his 2021 write-up from the preseason. I haven't gotten back and redone him for this season so far. But just because, like, his tape from 2021, I've watched a couple of his games from 2022. I just haven't done the write-up. And it's still the same things I've seen in 2021, where I think as an outside linebacker prospect that you will send on, off the edge. So, like, if you're at a 3-4 hybrid system, right, where you're running 4 linebackers and you're always rushing one of them, he doesn't have to be the one that rushes the edge every single down. He can be on the stack during obvious running plays. But when you need a guy who can rush the passer, Herbig plays with, he has so many different things in his toolkit for pass rushing. He plays with, they bring up Zach Bond because it's a comparable, like, he's height guy, hybrid edge, never really worked out at the NFL level. Herbig plays with length to a way in which I never saw in Bond. I was a big Bond guy. I like Zach Bond. I wanted the Bills to draft him to replace Lonzo Alexander, but they moved away from that archetype in their defense. So I really liked Zach Bond, but yes, his big concern was his height, and he had really short arms, especially when he measured in the combine. Herbig, I don't know what his arm measurements are yet, but he plays with such good length and power in his hands. Not only when he's rushing the passer to like bull rush guys, but in like run defense, he's able to play with pop in his hands and get leverage with his arm length. So that's why I'm saying, like, his height, it's always been an issue. But I feel like on tape at Wisconsin, he's shown that he's able to overcome that height differential because he plays with length, he plays with power in his hands. He's able to, bang inside the box. But on third downs, maybe he's not the best pass coverage guy or the best with range. But if you have him as an outside linebacker, rushes on third downs, plays in the stack on obvious rundowns, or even if it isn't like a pass down early in the down sequence, then you can still have him blitz, a delayed blitz or something like that, or he can hold his own if it's a one-off in coverage. So I think as a guy who brings a skill set that we always think is good. Wisconsin defenders are always like good on tape, but it's always like the physical limitations. Or what are they too much of a tweener? Are they gonna have a role? I think Herbig has the physical and technical abilities to overcome the height differences, which he's already showing on tape. But that's my draft one. I'm a big Nick Herbig guy. When writing for Gridiron Heroics a couple weeks ago, I highlighted him versus Skoronski, and that was a good matchup. I think Herbig got the best of Skoronski. That was one of Skoronski's not as good games. So check out that article if you want. I don't remember what week it was, but it was in the preview and review that we post every week for the college football season. But yeah, I'm going to go right into our last take, which is more of a fun movie take and / holiday take. So let's throw that there right now. Basketball channel.
And a movie take, Planes, Trains, and Automobiles is superior to any Christmas movie. # Thanksgiving is the best holiday. I agree with the second part of that.
The food's good.
Food is good. I mean, it's no. Die Hard is the best Christmas movie, so it's better than Planes, Trains, and Automobiles. So
okay, Elf is the best Christmas movie.
No, Die Hard is the best Christmas movie.
It's not. It's Elf.
I'll keep my comment to myself about Die Hard.
Yeah, you'd be wrong. So you might as well keep your wrong comments to yourself. Yeah, it's good. But what do we think about Planes, Trains, and Automobiles? I've never seen it.
I don't think I have either.
This is
I saw it once like a while ago, so it didn't. It hasn't made my impactful movies to have watched, unfortunately.
So, yeah, I forgot about Die Hard in Christmas movies because I had this whole argument. I'm a believer in Die Hard as a Christmas movie, but none of you have seen Planes, Trains, and Automobiles, or in Kyle's case, seen it recently enough. It's like the only Thanksgiving movie outside of like a Charlie Brown Thanksgiving movie. I don't remember what it's called. How? Watch it. You may or may not want to watch it because I know with your children present, because I know some of the guys have children. But it is rated R, but it's only rated R. It's rated R for one scene. It has Leslie Nielsen and John Candy in it. It's hilarious. It's an actual like heartwarming movie. It's made by the same guy who did Home Alone. It's so good. And yes, Die Hard's a great movie. I can't believe I'm so disappointed. Disappointment, just in general. I have no other words. But yes, Thanksgiving is better than Christmas, and any of you can fight me over that. Food, football, and Planes, Trains, and Automobiles is the epitome of a great time. So that's the end of my my takes reaction. That just left me on a bad note. No Planes, Trains, and Automobiles. I was so looking forward to seeing if any of them seen it. It's like an 80s, 90s class. I'm disappointed for you, disappointing you guys, for me, and from my father, because that's rough. That is rough. But yeah, that's it for today. Check out the basketball channel. I'm gonna sit back and enjoy some nice candy from the dollar store while I wait for next week's episode of Takes to come out. So enjoy.